Hello everybody. In this video I wanted to share an activity that we did with my son for a story about Saint Perpetua from our main lesson block on saints and heroes. So the paper folding is pretty self-explanatory throughout this video, but the paper I used is a 70-pound Canson brand drawing paper, and it's an 11 by 14 inch. And so when I was doing the folding, you want to make sure you start with a square, so I had to cut off a portion of it before I kept folding the other portions of it. And I am using drawing paper, although we are going to be doing a watercolor on it, but this is because I found that using regular watercolor paper, like 90 pound, 140 pound, I mean, I guess I haven't tried, you could try it, but I found that it's a lot harder for small hands to do folding, intricate folding with watercolor paper like this. And so, I mean, I'll try it out maybe with a different project. It might work out well, but this time around I just chose to do drawing paper. So we chose to do this activity over doing a page in the main lesson book, because doing main lesson book pages was getting just a little bit dry for my son, and I could just see he was like not really enjoying the process as much. So this activity kind of brought a new challenge to the process, and he really enjoyed it. It was something new, and it still had an artistic aspect to it, as well as doing the research, not the research, but the narration for with coming up with the questions for the I guess it's a trivia based game. And this activity, so this paper folding activity, I think the name for it is a cootie catcher. And if I remember, in elementary school we were making these all the time for whatever reason. We made up little games out of them, and I recently remembered about it and decided to try it out with doing a trivia based game for my son, and he really liked the challenge aspect of it. So in the end you'll see he came up with his questions and then I came up with mine. And if you've ever played Professor Noggin games, they're like these trivia based card games, and so I kind of got the idea from that. He really enjoys playing those games, and so that's where the idea came from. I pre-folded the cootie catcher, and now I'm just going to unfold it to watercolor it next. Now I did this because you can most certainly probably watercolor first and then do the folding. I just thought it would be easier to pre-fold all the creases, and then so when we watercolor, after it all dries, it'll be a lot easier to bring it all back to the shape with all the folds pre-creased. Now here I'm using Lyra watercolors, and they are very, very beautiful, very pigmented, and we've been really enjoying using these watercolors for various different projects. And I purchased them from achildsdream.com, and I know that you could probably get them from other providers, I guess, or carriers as well, but we got ours from achildsdream.com. Now, with the way I'm painting it, I don't really have like a specific inspiration, I guess, or I'm not doing anything specific with the colors that I'm using or whatnot, just kind of playing around with it. And my son is doing it along with me, so if I would have left this video at its original speed, it would have been like 30-40 minutes long because this activity, this lesson did take us about that time, around about 30 to 40 minutes to complete, just because of the slow process of it. It's very therapeutic almost, just kind of like slow, and meaningful, I guess. It's yeah, we don't rush through it because it's part of the lesson, but I needed to speed it up for time's sake in the video. So yeah, he did the same watercolors I did, except when we got to the middle portion he chose a different color. But as I was saying, there's no specific, you really could watercolor it however you want. You know, get creative. There's so many different options of what you can do. You can even make an actual, watercolor an actual picture on there. But yeah, this is just a design that I chose, and it was just really warm, warm colors. And in the middle portion I went in with like a really pretty golden yellow. Because this is drawing paper and not watercolor paper, I do advise that you be mindful of that, as you are, if you do choose to use drawing paper, be mindful of it so you don't overdo it with the water, because it will definitely warp and pill up a lot quicker. And with this activity, it actually turned out really, really great. There wasn't a lot of warping, but then I was using the colors and the water very sparingly, just enough. And here you could see my son, he was going in with a blue into the center and kind of made it his own. And then I dried everything with a hair dryer to make the process a little bit quicker. I numbered the edges ahead of time already, and on the bottom side I wrote down what this trivia, on who this trivia was about. So it was on Perpetua. And so just I went in and used those creases to fold the little cutie catcher back into its shape. And I mean, it's very, very easy with the folding process. But I'll be honest, I haven't exactly figured out a great way to do the game in this way. With the numbers, he just picks out a number, and then I do the folding however many times he chooses. And then yeah, there's so many ways you can play around with it, and I'll try out a few different things. I'm going to I was thinking about what kind of categories to use for this game, and so I spent some time just kind of thinking it over, and I had to edit this video a lot with the time I spent thinking. But here I chose to write down 4 different categories. I probably could have made it, double that. Each triangle could have had its own category, but here I decided, for the sake of having enough space to actually write the questions, I chose to do only 4 categories, which was vision, faith, and then also I think it was for family, and culture was the last one. And so on the underside of these flaps, I'm going to write down the questions with the answers. Of course, you don't want to forget your answers, because you kind of need those, I guess. You might forget. So in order to do that, the day before we listened to a documentary on St. Perpetua and recalled the story, and then the next day we listened to it again and took notes on the different categories, to come up with the questions that we wanted to ask each other. And so the challenge for my son was that he came up with his own questions and I came up with mine. And so you can do you can do variations of how you present the questions, either in, fill in the blank or true or false. Multiple choice was also one that was it's really fun. And so at this point, we just kind of played around with the trivia game. And the one thing about it is that I will try to change next time, is maybe having 1 cutie catcher per category. this is because, you know, if there's only a couple of questions, the answers get memorized really quickly, which is good, but then the game gets kind of old really quickly. So I'm still playing around with that to figure out a better way to approach it. But I hope this was an informative video for you, and if you guys try it out, if you guys have whatever ideas, leave them in the comments below to give me more ideas. I appreciate that, and I hope you like this video. Comment, like, share, and I'll see you in the next video.